Hi there, it's Karen at Corrie Paper Crafts here, independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in Central Scotland. Welcome back to another project, and this week I've decided to challenge myself to make some miniature projects, and the first of those is this little inchie box here. And the idea came from the fact that, especially since I've made myself some new bookmarks, I'm about to start reading The Miniaturist, and I thought, you know, I think I'll make some miniature projects as well. So this little inchie box here is an inch cubed. It's an inch by an inch by an inch, and inside it actually holds a little boiled sweetie. I could fit two in, but the wrapper actually makes it just a little bit too bulky and the box was gaping a little bit. So everything that I've used is either miniature or small. So it uses a small piece of cardstock, tiny bits of designer series paper. I used the little butterfly on the butterfly duet punch to stamp my sentiment on because it fits perfectly, and the sentiment is from the Itty Bitty Greetings stamp set. It's a 2-box set and there's 32 stamps altogether, so I'm using this tiny little For You here. It is a cling stamp set, so it is the red rubber. So that's what I used for my greeting. And I used the smallest size of my champagne rhinestones as well, so everything is the smallest that I could manage to get it. So I'm looking forward to reading The Miniaturist. I'll let you know how I get on with that too. So I'm going to pop my book over to the side. And this designer series paper is from one of the new DSPs from the annual catalogue. It's the Artistry Blooms paper, and it's a 12 by 12 pack and lots of colours, very similar to a paper that we've had before with the sheets with the paint splashes on them. So I'm just going to run through those very quickly just to let you see the front and the back. I do like the granny apple green here. We had, is it 2 years ago in the spring summer catalogue, Painted with Love specialty designer series paper, and it had these sort of brush strokes, and if you remember it had some gold foiling in amongst it as well. I'm sure I've still got some scraps of it somewhere, and I'm finding myself strangely drawn to the blues as well, and some abstract sort of watercolouring on the back, so I can see me using this quite a lot. I'm loving the blues as well. So obviously this was the sheet that I used for this project, and in here you've got Daffodil Delight, Melon Mambo, Calypso Coral, Whisper White, and this time round I'm actually going to use the Gorgeous Grape one. So I'm going to show you how I made it. It's quite quick and easy, obviously doesn't use a lot of product at all. So you're going to need a piece of cardstock which measures 4.5 inches by 3 3/4. You're going to need 6 pieces of designer series paper, all which measure, I've managed to lose some already, I've only got 4 here, but I did have 6, so I'll need to find those or cut some more. They measure 7/8 of an inch square. Just wondering where I've put those, or have I knocked them onto the floor, but if not we'll cut another couple of pieces. I did have them all together, here we are. I knew I had them. And you'll need a piece of scrap Whisper White for stamping your sentiment. And that's that. I got myself all tongue-tied there because I lost some of my DSP. So let's do a little bit of scoring. So let's hopefully not get too much glare. I'll just put my DSP onto my desk, grab my ball tool, and scoring wise you're going to score on the long side at 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then turn it round to the short side and you're going to score at 3/8 of an inch, then 1 3/8, 2 3 3/8 and 3 3/8, and that's all the scoring you need to do. So you end up with a bit of a grid pattern there. And then I'm just going to fold and burnish on all my score lines. And because I want crisp edges and it's such a small project, I used the smaller end of my scoring tool on the scoreboard there. Just carefully fold that a little bit over too. There we go. Now I don't have a template, so I'm having to do this from memory. So I'm just going to turn it over to this side here, but I want these 3/8 of an inch strips top and bottom, because these are going to be the flaps that close the lid on my box, top and bottom. So in terms of what we keep and what we get rid of, I just want to remind myself, I want this seam at the back, but this join I don't want to be attached to anything that we're folding over. So this is going to be the front flap that will fold over to the back, so the box will close that way. So just turning it round, keeping my fingers here, that's the section I'm going to keep. So either side of these are going to be my little shoulders, so I'm going to just cut off half of those to make the flaps on the inside, but I'm going to get rid of all of these bits here, but I'm keeping that, so I'm mirroring that there. So I'm going to get rid of these sections too, and this is a little part that's going to join my box together. So I'm going to keep half of that section, all of that section, and half of that section. Get rid of these bits though, and all of those. Okay, so I hope you can see that. I might actually go over that in pen because I'm going to be cutting all of these off anyway. So I'll just go over that again and then hover it for a little minute to let you see. So these are all the little bits that we're going to remove from the box. Okay, so this is what forms the body of the box, and these are the lids or the closures, top and bottom. These are going to be half size, and they're going to be the shoulders that close over just on the inside like that. Alright, and the rest we just don't need. So feel free to pause the video just to remind yourself of that. So we're going to do some cutting. So I'm going to just remove these sections here, and I'm going to just take that score line off as I go, and I'm going to angle that slightly there, and I'm going to mirror it on this side. We'll just do a section at a time like we've done before with a box that had a few bits to remove. Okay, so we've got rid of those bits, and that's what's going to join the box together. I need a straight edge on all of these sections because these are the closures on the top of the box, so I want a nice straight line down either side of these squares. So I'm going to remove the score line onto these squares either side. Okay, I'm going to turn it round and do the same again. I'm going to keep the straight edge on the clear square that we're going to be keeping, and remove the score line onto the squares either side. And then I'm going to cut down and remove the score line onto that last section that I'm going to be getting rid of, and keeping this for now. Turn it round and do the same again. It's just to keep the box neat. It won't break your box or anything if you don't cut the score lines off completely. Don't worry about it too much. So I'm going to get rid of these sections completely here, so I'm just going to do that now. that one there and that one there, taking the score line as I go because I want a straight edge on these here. And I'm just going to get rid of that little fluffy bit there. Okay, so this is what we're left with for now. I only want half of each of these flaps, so I'm going to fold that part over and just cut straight across. She said I can't cut straight, you know that. And straight across there. And then I'm going to notch very slightly at either side of those, just like that. And the same on this one, just making sure that the tips of my scissors don't cut into the lid part, because as you know our paper snips are very sharp. And then I'm just going to mirror that on this side, so fold that part over, cut in a straightish line. I managed to do the straight line, I just can't get it straight. It's always squint. And the same there, and just notch very slightly on either side of those, like so. Alright, so that's what we're left with for our box. And the very last thing I want to do is just very slightly, I did round the corners of my other box, but I just felt that it took too much off because it's such a small box. So what I decided to do is just take a tiny little bit off of either side. There we are. We can always take more off if the box won't close, but if you cut off too much then it won't stay closed. So just a tiny little bit off both sides, and then we can adjust it. You can always cut more off, but you can't stick bits back on. that's my motto. I'd rather come back and have to trim it again than have to start again because I've cut too much off. So you're just cutting off tiny little bits like that for now. We might have to trim it again. So that's our box ready to stick the designer series paper on. And for quickness, I am just going to pop some snail onto these parts. So I'll do all the snailing first. I can't wait till my new adhesive comes, my Stampin' Seal. I'm really excited to see what that's like when it arrives. I just want to make sure I catch these corners though. It's a bit fakey because they're so small. There we are. Just rub that off because everything will stick to it otherwise. Get a little bit more in that corner. There we go, a couple to go. Oops. There we are. Last one. I think my snail's going to give up the ghost shortly. I think that's what's wrong. I'm not getting it right to the edges, but there we are. So we'll get rid of that. So I want to add a piece to these four sections here and the lid on either side. And I need to decide whether I want my white splodges going and the grain. If you can see, there's a sort of very slight grain in the paper if I want them going across or up and down, but I think I want them going across the way. So I just want a 1/16 of an inch gap all the way round. There we go. Gosh, it's hard to see the gorgeous grape against the gorgeous grape. About there. Oops. Hope that doesn't stick to my grid paper. Come on, thank you. And the last bit on, oops, on there, about there, there we are. And I want to add a piece of tearing tape onto this section here. Oops, got a little bit of fluff, so we'll just tear that bit off. So just next to that fold, but not on it as always. And because it's so small, I want to make sure it's got a nice firm join, so I want that tape right to the edge. So I'm going to give that a little press with my paper folder and then just take that backing tape off. Make sure there's nothing overhanging. Fold this over and fold this section over to meet it, and that's my box joined together. So at this stage you can make it and fold it flat, it'll store quite nicely. So let's have a look and see if I've trimmed enough off of that, those sections on the lid. Probably taken too much off of that bit, as you can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just add a little mini glue dot to that part. I probably would have been better just to have rounded the corners after all, but we'll just pop a mini glue dot and then hope that the bit that's now going to be the top isn't going to do the same. There we are, that's better, that's closing perfectly. I've just cut a little bit too much off of that section there. So that's my box made. What I'll do is I'll just pop my sweetie in just now. Oops. There we are. Close it over again and then do a little bit of stamping. And I'm using my Gorgeous Grape ink and, as I say, the Tiny Toty For You, which I've already got mounted on an A block. And then I'm going to stamp that down and hopefully not get, there we go, not get any edges, catch the edges, because with small stamps sometimes you can get a bit of ink around the edge of it. And then I just want to angle the For You across my butterfly's wings and just make sure that all the spacing's fairly even all the way around. Punch that out. It's quite a stiff punch actually. There we are. And I'm going to just flatten little bits of those wings down again, like so. And then I'm going to grab my champagne rhinestones and just pop smallest size just on there and just on there, like that. And because I don't want it sticking out quite as far as this one is, even though it's a mini dimensional, I'm going to just put some mini glue dots on the back of my little butterfly, like that, and stick my pokey tool to it as well. I think we'll put a couple on just to give it an extra bit of height, but not too much, and it works really quite well. So we'll still get a little bit of dimension, but not stick out quite as much as it would. Just make sure I've got it the right way. It doesn't stick out as much as it would if it was a mini glue dot, and just pop that in the middle. There we are. So as you can see, we've still got a little bit of dimension, but not too much. and I think I much prefer that. I think I'll change that one actually. And that's my box made. That's all there is to it. You could add a little ribbon if you wanted, but I just wanted everything to be tiny and toty. So thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you liked the project. Have a go yourself and see what you think. It's amazing what you can get in a box that's only 1 inch cubed. And hopefully I'll see you again soon in a few days. Until then, take care. Bye bye.